What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Real Estate Investing Fast Track Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Hellbeck, and this is the weekly REI quick lesson. So today I'm going to talk about direct mail sequencing and how do you sequence out a direct mail campaign so you can have success. And this is how you do it. Before I get into that, if you are not familiar with me, my name is Greg Hellbeck. I've bought and sold well over 155 houses at this point, and I became a real estate millionaire through flipping houses and buying rentals as well as wholesaling. So if this is a valuable video that you watch or a valuable podcast, if you could subscribe to the channel and leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to, would mean a lot to me. So sequencing is important when it comes to direct mail, because a big reason people fail when it comes to doing this strategy of direct mail marketing is that they do not understand sequencing and the power of follow-up through direct mail. So I'll get into that right now. So you got to look at direct mail. It's almost like it is kind of lucky if you think about it, because there's such a low response rate. You're only going to get a certain amount of calls every time you mail, and the more you mail, the more the odds are going to be in your favor that you're going to have success when someone calls you and they have a problem you can solve, right? So the way I teach direct mail, shameless plug, I do have a direct mail course. If you're interested in that, send me an email, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com, with the subject line direct mail course, and I can tell you more about that. But you have to do it in sequences or cycles, right? So the way I do my direct mail campaigns is each month we mail a new cycle, which usually has new data with it, right? So let's say I have a list of 10,000 people. If I'm going to do a blanket direct mail campaign, right, I'm going to commit to this direct mail campaign for, 6 months. I'm going to mail that list once a month for 6 months. So every single month, January, we're going to mail them. That's cycle 1. February, we're going to mail them, cycle number 2. March, we're going to mail them, cycle number 3. And we're going to do that all the way up till June, right? And when you do mail in sequences like that, you're increasing the odds that you're going to get a deal over time. Because if you think you're just going to drop a direct mail campaign and someone's going to call, yeah, that can happen. That actually happened to us on a little foreclosure campaign we did, but I would say that's not the standard. That's the, kind of the unicorn. Ironically, that deal's closing tomorrow as of this recording, so it's pretty funny how that works out. But the reason we have consistency with direct mail is because we get deals from cycle 3, cycle 4, cycle 5, cycle 6, sometimes cycle 9, right? You never know when the deal's going to come with direct mail, but if you get 25 actual leads from direct mail, statistically speaking, you're probably going to get one deal out of it. So the question is, how many sequences do you have to mail to get 25 leads, right? And that's going to depend on your list, the type of list, the size of the list, etc. But you got to be in this for the long haul, and you got to understand the power of sequencing. So here's the actual tactical takeaway. If you're going to mail, you need to commit to mailing for at least 9 months, right? At least 9 months, if not a year, in any market, especially in New York, because it's longer in New York. If you're not willing to mail for at least 9 months and do at least 6 to 7 sequences, let's say you do it every 6 weeks or whatever, don't waste your money, because you're probably going to end up flushing it down the toilet. But if you have the budget, right, to mail somebody for 9 months, you're going to have a higher chance of success, right? So I'd rather have you mail 2,000 pieces a month for 6 months versus 12,000 mailers right off the jump and get all these phone calls and maybe you don't have a deal out of it. It's the power of sequencing is important, because you got to think about it. It's all about timing. The first time you mail someone, they might not have a problem. The second time, they might not have a problem. The third time, they might not have a problem. But the 5th time you mail them, their tenant might have stopped paying rent. Now they're potentially interested. The 7th month you mail them, they're probably feeling the pain from not collecting that rent for 60 days. And now they're going to call and say, hey, I've been getting your postcards for 7 months. My tenant hasn't paid rent. I want to sell my house now. And maybe that turns into a deal. That only turned into a deal because you mailed them 7 times. If you were to give up after mailing them 3 times, you wouldn't have had that revenue there. So that's the power of sequencing. That's how you got to think about direct mail. Hopefully this short podcast was helpful. If it was, leave me a review on iTunes and like this video on YouTube. And if you want to JV a deal with me, if you're in New York or Delaware or San Diego and you want to do a deal with me, whether you want to wholesale it together or you want to just wholesale it to me because I am a buyer, send me an email, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com, or you can Instagram direct message me at grego_37. I'll see you on the next podcast.